think about winning. Ain't nobody gonna go change me. If I quit tomorrow, that's what I want, bitch. I'm the boss, no trainee. Forever wide open, don't look at my pace. Go take a stand and get put in your place.
Welcome to a special presentation of the NBA on Christmas Day here on 2K Sports. We want to wish each and every one of you a Merry Christmas. Hi, this is Kevin Harlan alongside Clark Kellogg, Greg Anthony, our Hall of Fame sideline reporter David Aldridge, and now let's send it down to David Aldridge standing by from the sidelines. David?
Well, guys, DeAndre Jordan shoots with his left hand, but he bowls with his right. He throws with his right, and he finishes with his right around the rim. But he insists he's left-handed. He said, I tried to shoot with my right hand, and it was pretty much the same, maybe worse. I'm going to stick with the left because I've been practicing that for a while. Kevin?
Interesting strategy, DA. Thank you. Jordan shoots a high percentage from the field. You can't fault him for using that logic. And Kobe, you played for a handful of coaches during your career. When you look back on it, was there one coach you wished you could have played for but didn't have maybe a chance to play for?
Greg Popovich. That's an easy one for me. Although I did play for him in several All-Star games.
Yes, you did.
And one particular All-Star game in practice, he came up to me and said, okay, do you want me to just kind of go through like a whatever practice, or do you want me to do the real thing? I said, Pop, you got to do the real thing, because I've been dying to see what really goes on inside these Spurs practices.
Oh, my gosh.
You got to give us a real practice, man.
Yeah.
And he did. And Tim just kind of looked at me and was like, dude, seriously.
What are you doing?
Come on, you're killing me.
So what was a Popovich practice like for you, and how did you try to set the tone?
It was high energy, and we moved from drill to drill, and it involved a lot of passing and moving and spacing, and so all of the shooting, it wasn't any individual shooting. You know, all the individual shooting took place within a five-man offensive structure, of ball movement, of passing and cutting, and all of a sudden your shot comes here in the corner, and then you slide up to the next line, and you dribble, penetrate, and kick it, and then you slide to the next line, dribble, penetrate, kick, right? So it involves constant movement where you're constantly training and conditioning the body, that you're not just going to pass and stand and be a participant, right? You're going to be involved into that, in the action, not going to be a passive participant.
All fueled up and ready to go. Brought to you by Gatorade. Let's check out who's on the floor. Setting the floor for the Clippers, we've got Jordan, Patrick Beverley out there with Rivers, and it's Moran in at the 4. In competition, once again, Kobe, the thing that drives you so much, even on the practice floor, you and Jordan were so much alike in that regard. Is it important to go with your teammates and challenge them in those practices that you recall?
You have to challenge them, because if you don't, then they become conditioned to not have those challenges every day, right? So if you come off of a night we have a back-to-back, for example, and you have a practice the next morning, it's our responsibility to step into that practice and challenge them as if it was the game that we just played the night before, right? Because if you do not, then you don't have that competitive spirit day in and day out, where then you feel like you can take games off, because you can take practices off, because you just don't have it in practice, right? So it's our job to bring that every single day, so that competing just becomes a habit for them.
And you learn about their mental endurance, their physical endurance during those practices.
Well, yeah, you challenge them to learn about themselves, right? You challenge them to think about themselves. Can I push it a little extra? And I'm going to have to, because he's driving me like crazy, and if I don't meet that challenge, I'm going to have to hear his mouth all practice long. I'm going to have to hear his mouth on the plane. I'm going to have to hear his mouth on the bus. I'm going to have to hear his mouth in the locker room.
Yeah.
And I'd rather just compete.
Clippers have gone just 1 of 4 to get this game started. And after 20 years in the NBA, Kobe, you were able to play with so many teammates. Can you make a short list of some of your favorites over the years?
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Pau Gasol for me. Derek Fisher.
And a quality person.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just the nicest guy you'll ever meet.
Yeah, right.
And Derek Fisher, Ronnie Turioff, who's one of my all-time favorites. Lamar Odom, Shaq, obviously, Robert Horry, Rick Fox. I mean, I've been very fortunate to play with some great teams. Horace Grant, AC Green. I mean, the list goes. Ron Harper. I mean, I can go on and on all day long. Brian Shaw. I mean, I was very fortunate to have some really good teammates.
Oh, I love the aggressive mindset Beverley has. I mean, that's really what makes him special. He's not afraid of getting bumped, especially when he's going to the bucket.
You know, Kobe, the league seems to be moving away from isolation basketball, sometimes called hero ball, in favor of more ball movement, more of a fluid offense. What do you make of that trend?
Well, I think it's the right thing. I mean, if you look at the way the Knicks played, for example, when they had Bill Bradley, Busher, Phil was coming off the bench.
Well, you are a historian. You love the history of the game, don't you?
Oh, my God.
I mean,
yes.
I can just tell working with you.
Yeah. Holtzman was coaching. You had Frazier out there. I mean, they moved the ball. I mean, everything was predicated on ball movement, as was the Celtics with Fred Auerbach. And then in the 80s, things changed a little bit. You start going to more isolation ball, where guys would post deep. and force a double coverage to come all the way down to him, and then you start moving the ball around. Now you start seeing a spread offense where the ball's moving again like it was when the Knicks were playing, when the Celtics were playing. And so, I think it just depends on the style of defense that you're seeing and the personnel that you have. I think that determines your style of play.
From deep, Gasol, good on the three-point shot. Gasol's got 5.
Man, you've really got to appreciate the versatility of Gasol. I mean, he's a big man with range. I love seeing him square up from deep.
And Kobe, something that has changed in the NBA over the course of your career is the role of the power forward, the 4. More and more you need to be able to stretch the floor, take your guy outside, shoot the 3. Do you feel that that's a trend, or is that something you think that is here to stay in the NBA?
Well, I think things will evolve and things will change. I mean, you start getting power forwards like Tim Duncan and Garnett back in the league, Dirk. All of a sudden, it becomes less and less of a commodity to have smaller fours.
Right.
Because you're going to need to deal with the Tim Duncans and the Garnetts of the world. So I think it's just a natural evolution thing.
Did you, when you had to guard a big like that, ever fear going out and trying to get him on the side or even working him inside the lane where he would have more power, more advantage?
No, I never worried about it too much. What I try to do is I always try to study the film and figure out what their tendencies are, what their sweet spots are, and you just try to get them off of that. It's not necessarily about the size of them, but how do you get yourself in position when you can knock them off balance a little bit and use the lack of size that you have to disorient them.
On the free throw, no good. Kobe, a big part of the talent evaluation today is the psychological impact and that aspect, which I think will lead teams toward one prospect over another. If you were looking for personality traits in players and you were making that decision for a team, what trait would you value the most in a player?
No, curiosity. Without a shadow of a doubt, it's curiosity.
Why so?
Because curious people will always ask why things work or don't work.
And you were a big why asker.
You have to, because that's the only reason you win, is when you can figure out why things happen or didn't happen. Right? If you lose a game, a curious person won't point the finger. A curious person will say, well, why did we lose? Instead of just saying them.
Right.
They're going to go back and check the film and ask questions. Okay, why did we mess up there? Why did we blow that coverage there?
All free throws good from Beverly.
Man, I tell you, you really have to appreciate how much Beverly hustles. He plays hungry and with an edge. He's skilled, though, on both ends of the floor in addition to that.
Here is Slim. 32 points for him last game against San Antonio.
And Kevin, his creativity really on display that night. I mean, he was threading beautiful passes everywhere. Boy, he shows a lot of desire when he's fighting for that tough board, and his length doesn't hurt either.
And the trend around the league, Kobe, is more offense, more three-pointers, certainly spacing, fluid offense. Scoring is up around the league in a measurable way from, it seems like, year to year. Do you like the way this is trending, or do you think the NBA should maybe put a governor on this, harness it in just a little bit?
Well, I think it'll swing back to the way,
Do you?
Yeah, because the game has gone through that progression before. And, it's constantly evolving. And so I think you'll see it swing back eventually. You'll have a couple teams that are just big and may have a dominant post player, and all of a sudden you're going inside, and then that team will win a championship, and then the rest of the teams in the league will try to copycat the way the game is played that way. Then things will swing back. So it's just natural evolution of the game, I think.
And so he makes both from the line. Kobe, you've made no bones about patterning your game after Michael Jordan. You watched him while growing up. Can you give us a little insight into the impact of what he meant to you and how he formed you in some ways?
Sure. Well, I think most players growing up, at least my generation, probably watched them play and saw all of the fancy plays, the dunks, the highlights, and things of that nature. What I focused on was how you got there, the moves, the timing, the fundamentals, the spacing, the rhythm. That's what I studied meticulously, and so when I watched him play, I think I watched him play a little differently than others. Having not gone to college and all these other things, growing up overseas, I had to learn the fundamentals by watching and observing the greats, and to the most minute detail.
Clippers leading by 3. And with all the different technological advances in the league, you see a lot of player and coaches now reviewing clips and tablets and a lot of film sessions. I know you used to study a lot of the league's videotapes. How much easier is film study now, say, from the time in the late 90s when you got in the NBA?
It's so much easier.
Really?
Oh, my God. When I used to get in the hotel rooms, you used to have to call the front desk, and they used to roll up the TV on the wheels.
With the VCR machine.
With the VCR connected
right.
to it, right? And I have to have all of these tapes, and you got to put the tape in, and you got to rewind it, and you got to fast forward it, and you got to rewind it.
Yeah.
Now it's just everything's right there in front of you, right? And it's very easy to skip and go to the next game and then jump back to the game before or fast forward to the fourth quarter. I mean, it's so easy now.
They've been beating them to a lot of those loose balls and rebounds here to start.
Yeah, the half and half balls are going their way, and that's really a function of effort and intensity. You know, the ball doesn't discriminate. Whoever goes and gets it, that's who owns it.
And in the history of the NBA, only a handful of players have lasted 20 seasons. Kobe, you played all 20 with the Los Angeles Lakers, an NBA record for seasons with one team. What does it mean to just having worn that Laker jersey your entire career?
Well, I mean, it's a huge honor. I've always been a massive Laker fan, even when I was a kid. And so I never dreamed that I'd actually be wearing the golden armor for my NBA career. So to be sitting here right now, having played 20 years, is literally the coolest dream that could have ever happened to any kid. Happened to me.
And I don't know that it'll happen again. The way the league is structured now, the money, the free agency, even though you had a chance to leave a couple times, you always chose to stay.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's loyalty is a word that you hear thrown around often, but in this day and age, it's very tough to see in sports because of the cap, because of the free agency market and so forth and so on. So I've been very, very fortunate to have a great organization and to be able to have played 20 years of my career here.
Shoots the three. Out of bounds, the Clippers take possession. Kobe, you're a father. You've enjoyed that process, but basketball got in the way a lot of that. How do you balance fatherhood and playing at the level you played at?
Yeah, when I was winning championships there, our kids were still relatively young, or I should say babies. In my last few years, they were older and knew they could really feel my absence. And so what I try to do is try to bring them along for the process. So there were mornings I would wake them up and say, let's go. Say, we're going. Well, Daddy's going to go train, so let's go.
No kidding.
And I bring them with me. And they'd be in the gym shooting around or kicking a soccer ball around or hitting a volleyball around. But I felt like it was important as a father to not just tell them about hard work, but they need to see what I'm doing. When you're sleeping, this is what I'm doing here for 3 hours. And so they're a part of the process and feel connected to the process. But traveling and things of that nature is very, very hard because there's been plenty of birthdays that I've missed and school plays that I've missed.
And here's Gasol outside. It is not good. He's made half of his 6 attempts. Here's Stauskas, covered by Morgan. Stauskas kicks to Barea. Back to Stauskas from deep three-point range. Gasol with the rebound. Traveling was a part of your job, a part of mine. You miss some things with the kids, but I know you take pride, Kobe, in the fact that you made it to a lot of things as well. You were not an absent parent.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's having a great partner. I mean, my wife has been absolutely amazing, which I think is extremely important as well, because she really held down the fort at home, which to me is the toughest job in the world to do. I have it easy in terms of going out there and playing games, but to have the responsibility of actually raising young people to be outstanding citizens. You talk about pressure. I mean, that's I have to ask how she feels about handling that. You know what I mean? Because that's true pressure.
And over the course of your career, Kobe, 5 NBA championships. Are there any of those that really stand out among the 5 that you accumulated?
The last one, beating the Celtics. That was the hardest one by far.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. My goodness.
And they are going toe-to-toe here tonight, guys. This thing's like a heavyweight fight.
Yeah, these teams evenly matched, Greg, trading hits and refusing to give up any advantage.
Jordan the screen, outside Williams. Kobe, for a guy like yourself who made an incredible amount of three-point shots during your career, what is it like watching Steph Curry? Just how much has he changed the league? It was always watching the dunks of Jordan. Now we got kids that want to shoot the ball from distance.
Yeah. Shooting the ball from distance now has kind of become like a home run in baseball, right? Where it's exciting to watch the ball in flight. I think it's great because it just adds more love to the game, more things that players could do or kids can do that can't dunk. right? It's like dunking was the thing, right? But now for kids that can't dunk, there's something else that's fun. There's something else that's entertaining, like shooting threes. Right? So
But boy, that takes a lot of work. Huh?
yeah, it sure does. I mean, it's a lot of repetition.
Hundreds of shots daily.
Yeah, and it's a lot of repetition. I mean, you know, Steph, you watch him out there playing and making all these shots. He's put in hours and hours and hours of hard work and continues to do so.
4 on the clock, and here's Barea outside. Good, and the nice assist for Williams. You look back to the final game as a player, Kobe, all the emotion that was building up for that moment. Then you go out and score 60 points. Surreal moment. Did you ever think for any moment that maybe I've got 1 year left in the tank after that 60-point performance?
You know what? It wasn't a matter if I had another year in the tank. It was just, I just don't want to do this anymore. You know, I wake up in the morning, my body's sore. You know, that 60-point game was everything I had left for that year. And to be able to have to, like, reboot that and reset the system all over again, no thank you.
People don't see that side of it, do they?
No, they don't. But you know, it's just, nor do we want them to, right? We want them to appreciate being entertained and coming to a game and taking their mind off of whatever it is they want to take their mind off of. It's an opportunity for them to escape. And that's what we provide. So that's completely fine.
Morgan the pass to Wells. They set the pick outside Gasol. Los Angeles shooting their second and third free throws tonight.
Now, gentlemen, two shots. Roof shots.
And he makes the first. Some changes for the Lakers. Randall's checked in for Gasol. And Larry Nance is subbed in for Wells. And Los Angeles making a change here as well. Teodosic is checked in. And so he hits both.
Textbook shooting from the stripe. Great form, soft release, mark it up.
Just 1 second between the shot clock and game clock. Jordan the screen. From deep three-point range, the shot no good. And we reached the end of the first quarter. Lakers lead by 5. Let's take a quick break now, and then it's on to the second quarter after this. And a chance to hear from DeAndre Jordan, who talks about the inspiration he drew from head coach Doc Rivers.
Doc told me, you know, and you gotta love how the passion to play defense burns in DeAndre, and how Doc has stoked that fire with desire and inspiration. I mean, I have to believe we're going to see that confidence proven to be right.
And we're ready to get rolling once again here for our Christmas Day matchup. And taking a look at Los Angeles' performance here, what have they been doing or not doing?
I think they play great D and not giving up anything easy early on.
Exactly. I mean, they've made their presence felt on this end. Excellent job contesting shots so far.
Here are the 5 the Clippers have to start the second. We've got Teodosic. Also, Lou Williams out there. DeAndre Jordan is out there with Stauskas. And it's Moran in the power forward position. And keeping us updated from the sideline, let's swing it over to David Aldridge.
Well, guys, Slim in the last outing against the Spurs delivered in a major way. He scored 32 points, and as he always seems to do, piled up rebound after rebound. It's rare to see any player put up numbers like that. It's likely a game he'll always remember. Kevin?
David, appreciate the report. He was a one-man show in that game.
And, you know, it'll be interesting to see how much that took out of him. I mean, he'll have a hard time putting up anything even close to those numbers here tonight.
Well, Greg, you know where I'm going. He was a stat sheet stuffer in that game. Did a little bit of everything and did it all well.
Clippers trail by 7. And you look at the NBA today and the social media, Kobe, a lot easier for NBA players to connect with fans over that social media platform. However, it's also easier to get people in trouble. Players have got to keep that periscope up, so to say. How hard do you think that is to manage?
Well, you know, I think now in this particular generation, the sensitivity towards things you may hear or see on social media is much different than it would have been years ago. In other words, nowadays for athletes to be on social media, it's more easily tolerable for them to say something, right? Or to be able to speak their mind.
Yes.
And I think the important thing is just the consistency in that. You know, if you have a thought and you want to say it, right? Put it out on social media. Do whatever it is that you want to do with it. The key is just to be consistent and be who you are, not be afraid to be who you are.
Los Angeles leading by 7. Booker dishes to Nance. Misses from close range.
And typically he has the touch to finish when he's in tight, but not sure on that possession.
So I think for players, Kobe, when they've been criticized on social media, I think they feel it's better to sleep on a reply and see if that same thought still resonates the next morning. Because a lot of, in the heat of a post game, you read something, guys go off.
Yeah, they do. And at the same time, when that does happen, because it's going to happen, no matter how many times we say it, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And when it does happen, to be able to step back and say, okay, yeah, that's how I felt in the moment, and I said what I felt.
Yeah.
And here's why I felt that way. And now you're ready to move on. I mean, it's a lot like life. I mean, people say stuff all the time that they don't necessarily mean, right?
I never felt, though, that you ever said anything that you truly did not believe in your heart.
Yeah, well, I think most people do, right? When you're having a moment, you're looking at it, you say, you know what, should I send this out on social media? Yeah, I really believe this. I really do. And then you send it, and the next morning you're like, oh, no. What did I? What?
You had no regrets, though?
No, I mean, everything's a life lesson for me.
For all of us.
Yeah.
Lobs it up for Jordan. Some say, Kobe, that the shooting guard crop in the NBA right now, a little light in terms of depth, not quite as many top 2 guards as we used to see play the game. Who do you like among some of the 2 guards you see now in the NBA?
Well, it depends who we're considering a 2 guard.
Right,
now,
because they just blend,
the 2s,
don't they?
the 3s, they all just blend.
Combo guards, you're playing some forward position. It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah. So, shooting guards to me are guards that have to do everything. You have to be able to play the post. You have to be able to play the perimeter. You have to be able to play the point. You have to do everything. So I'll put Russell Westbrook in that category. I'll put James Harden in that category. I'll put Kawhi Leonard in that category. There's a lot of players I'm forgetting. Even Giannis, I would say, is a 2 guard because of what he does.
Yes.
So there's a lot of talented guards out there.
Did you like the ball in your hand, bringing it up, or would you have rather someone else bring it up, then get it to you in the half court, and then do what you did?
Yeah, that's the one thing I'm jealous about Michael. Because Michael didn't have to do that. He had Pippen.
Yes, right. Who always brought it up.
Yeah,
yes,
so he could focus on coming off the screens and catching and shooting. He didn't have to think about facilitating first. He could think about scoring and then passing out of double teams.
Williams. They get it back. Jordan kicks to Williams. Tries again. And it's Jordan. That time on the assist from Williams. 6 points for DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan is aggressive as a rebounder. He uses his massive body, athleticism, and long arms to wreak havoc on the glass.
Ball with it. He had 10 points in the win against the Spurs in San Antonio.
And his passing also off the charts in that game. In just about every aspect of their offense, he was dialed in.
And Kobe, you talked about coming off screen. Some guys come off a screen and kind of just lollygate. You came off and you pass the ball and then get back at it
again.
Yeah.
Efficient.
Explode off those screens.
Angles, right?
Yes.
You got to be able to read those things. And when you're catching, you're in attack mode all the time. Because then that's...
Clippers trail by 3. 1:27 left in the first half of basketball. They set the pick. Rivers against Bryant. Jordan sets the pick for Rivers. 5 to shoot. The putback. Bryant with the rebound. And we'd like to thank you for stopping by, Kobe. Hope you come back and join us again.
I definitely will. I had a great time, man. Thank you for having me.
And Clark, you've been broadcasting for the entire span of Kobe's playing career. How is it to share a booth with someone who you've watched progress throughout their entire career?
Well, it certainly reminds me that I'm moving into that last block on the demographic charts. I'm in the early third quarter, if you will, that's for sure. But it's a treat because it's wonderful to see how he grew as a player and as a man, and much, much respect for Kobe Bryant because he's a first ballot Hall of Famer and doing great things off the court, too.
It's Gasol missing.
You must make that one. Even with the defense present, these are shots you have to finish.
6 seconds separating the shot and game clocks. That ties it up. Barea's got his second basket of the night.
And, you know, Barea is a fairly consistent three-point threat. You can't sleep on him out there.
Here's Morgan, and he makes no mistake on the slam dunk.
Oh, just solid on the one-handed slam.
And guys, when it's a tight ball game like this, he's the guy they want with the ball.
Somebody you can count on. He is an extremely reliable finisher.
And the first half comes to a close. We've got a close game going on here. Lakers on top, up by 2. And now we'll send it over to David Aldridge, who is standing by courtside. David.
Thanks very much. Doc, what do you think you'll see from them in the second half?
Well, they're moving the ball. They're just playing to the hot hand, and we got to expect that. So let's not let anyone get hot. That would be nice.
Always the coach's mantra. Thanks, Doc. Back to you, Kevin.
Thanks, David. And we'll be back shortly.
Lakers!